But Gabriel Gomez and Oscar Pedersen will now take up their residencies on the front row of the starting grid from Timo Kucharczyk and Daniel Briz of Spain. Then Martinius Stenzorn and Joel Bergström from Tugo Tarpanen and Caspian Hagman. Then it will be Ariel Elkin and Lenny Reed on the top 10. 11th place for Nicolas Pertolatti, and then Norton Andreasen beside him, and Emilio Koivisto, Roman Andriolo, Matteo De Palo and Francesco Marenghi.
Then we have Luca Griggs and Giuliano Olzem, Erling Randini and Pedro Hilbrand, Arnold Sabar and Maximilian Obst, Carmen Krav and Flavio Olivieri, followed by Bruno Alpino, Nathan Schaap, Kevin Quevedo, Sandro Holzem, Robin Sog and Jokubas Bagnovicius. In total, 30 drivers out onto the track for a 10-lap qualifying heat.
At the same time as everybody else, so Luca Griggs, his race is already half a lap behind everybody else's as they get going. Away we go. Gabriel Gomez just trying to keep everybody at bay. Kucharczyk has got Pedersen still to his left, and Pedersen holds on to second position. Daniel Briz breaks through to third position, and Kucharczyk very nearly loses out to Stenzorn. In fact, now he does. So Stenzorn gets through and up into fourth position. Watch out from around the outside because Tugo Tarpanen is trying to creep forward in the Tony kart, and now he's going to. Oh, he doesn't quite make it though because Kucharczyk keeps it very sturdy. Oh, and there's an off further back. That's one of the CV Performance drivers. That, I'm afraid, is Sandro Holzem. So Sandro Holzem has had an off at the top of the hill. He manages to keep going, but we have got an off there as well of retirement, and that is... now, someone else has parked it on that part of the course. Can't quite make out who it is, but it looks to me like a Ward Racing driver that's walking away from the scene. Gomez is getting well clear with Oscar Pedersen. I'll try and pick up who it is that's retired from the race. I think it's Carmen Krav. So I think she has crashed out of the race at the same point that we had the spin from Sandro Holzem. So I'm afraid Carmen Krav, she is out of the race.
Lap 1 completed. Oh, and we had a good move on the 11 Martinez Stenzorn, who got overtaken by Tugo Tarpanen all the way to turn number 1 and 2. So beautifully made with just in front of it. This is the number 24 of Timothée Kucharczyk from Forza Racing. Sorry, for Birelart, wearing the Robert Kubica colors. But is in front, Timothée Kucharczyk now in 4th, Tarpanen is 5th, Stenzorn down in 6th. Then we have Gomez and Oscar Pedersen indeed. It's split by just 0.2 of a second, pulling away from Daniel Briz down in 3rd. So there's the battle for the win. In front of Gabriel Gomez wearing the CRG orange livery, Oscar Pedersen from World Racing. Those two gonna try to stay within each other and pull away from the rest of the field. Daniel Briz very much in 3rd. Let's see where Timothée Kucharczyk is half of a second pretty much down in 4th place, but we're going to keep an eye on the battle for the win as things are only getting started for this qualifying heat. But Gabriel Gomez on his way to potentially the victory, but he's going to have to fight a lot and go defensive because look at Pedersen, the way he's going actually, and looking at the front fairing once again, not to be confused by, you know, a sight illusion or the illusion of front fairing going loose, but seems to me that maybe Gabriel Gomez might have a front fairing a bit too, you know, bended on the track. But again, maybe. I think that's just an illusion of it, and there's nothing that seems to be wrong at the moment. But we'll keep an eye on that.
So Nathan Schaap has pulled off the circuit as well. So Nathan Schaap, unfortunately, is out of the race. We'll have to have a look at Gabriel Gomez's CRG front fairing, but it does look a little low to the ground. I'll give you that. So hopefully it's not loose. If it is, then obviously he'll take a 5-second penalty. But Oscar Pedersen is going to try and get after Gabriel Gomez regardless. There's some amazing dukes and challenges in the midfield at the moment as they continue to battle away for position. But Oscar Pedersen is breathing down Gabriel Gomez's neck here. Daniel Briz loses out to 3rd position in the corner behind these guys. Timothée Kucharczyk has got through. So Timo Kucharczyk now into 3rd place as they continue to run forward. Gomez in the CRG doing his best in the lead of the race, but Oscar Pedersen riding behind him in 2nd. He's catching as he climbs up the hill. Maybe there's going to be a chance on this lap for the Ward Racing driver, and he'll want to try and psych out his opponent as soon as possible. They have got a 1.5 seconds on Timo Kucharczyk, and perhaps it's a good percentage for Oscar Pedersen of risk to try and make this overtaking move this time on Gabriel Gomez as they charge down the hill and along the back straight once again. This is where Oscar Pedersen really needs to be cautious, but also dictatorial when he makes his overtaking move on Gomez.
We're about to conclude lap number 4, and Gomez is under pressure from Oscar Pedersen. The rest is 1.5 down. Timothée Kucharczyk, Daniel Briz. 3 drivers in the same picture behind those two. Kucharczyk, Briz, Tugo Tarpanen down in 5th. Then Martinez Stenzorn is 6th in front of Lenny Reed, Norton Andreasen, Caspian Hagman, and Joel Bergström at the moment rolling down the top 10 in front of Francesco Marenghi. but we still have two top players battling for the same reward, the win in this qualifying heat. That will be a first for either Oscar Pedersen and Gabriel Gomez, two names that we've seen climbing through the ranks, we've seen getting in performance in last weekend's warm-up race, but this time around, these two are really revelations of this weekend in Campillos, really playing at the front, showing a very strong pace. And as we said, this is a sign of better things to come for the CRG racing team that has been really pushing hard for the past few months to get back on top of the karting world. They've done so in gearbox categories, and the ambition is to do as well, very much so in their direct drive classes. And Gabriel Gomez could be a big part in the plan for success for the Italian factory. We're not there yet. Pedersen is going to try to give him a hard time until the end, about to conclude halfway through this qualifying heat, lap number 5 out of 10, and still 3 little tenths of a second between Gomez and Pedersen. It seems by the look of it that the Brazilian hasn't been able to really pull away. As we're here for the back with Tuka Tapanen and Daniel Briz. This is a battle for 4th place, as Tapanen is being harassed by one of the drivers competing, and almost all Daniel Briz, one of the teammates of Nicolas Solov in that very class, but now he's not quite able to find a way in.
So Daniel Briz trying to hustle Tuka Tapanen. Martinius Stenzorn still there in 6th position, ahead of Lenny Reed, who is having a really great battle, actually, the World Championship weekend, going well for the German. And then Norton Andreasen, Caspian Hagman, and Francesco Marengi in the top 10. Pedro Hilbrand climbing up to 11th for the moment in front of Joel Bergstrom, who's really struggled to maintain his pace over the heats so far compared with qualifying yesterday. So they continue to tussle away in the early stages of each heat, and the laps tick down and drivers get more and more feisty in the midfield. I'm seeing a lot of great battles further through the pack, but certainly out front, Tuka Tapanen is trying to gain ground on Timothus Kucharczyk, as the 4th place battle is trying to gain ground on the Polish ace. But Tuka Tapanen, one of the stars of the junior category over 2019 and 20, stepped up to senior this year and has definitely had his back to the wall on more than one occasion. But Tuka Tapanen has always been the kind of driver who can fight his way back from supremacy. And the adversity he's had to struggle with so far, he has definitely bounced back time and time again. So we watch Gomez still leading for Pedersen. He's pulled out an essential 4/10 of a second over the Swede. That might just be enough to keep him in the hunt for victory.
Yeah, Gabriel Gomez was just lapped in 1:05, 1:06 for Oscar Pedersen. So there's your tiny difference. But will it be enough for this young man on your picture, watching over his shoulder on the way down to turn number 14? This is a place where we've seen numerous attacks being achieved and at least attempted. But this time around, with half of a second behind, there's not much room for effort for Oscar Pedersen, who keeps a close watch within a close range to Gabriel Gomez. This is lap number 7, lap number 8 on, as we're getting near to the checkered flag. Now Gomez, Pedersen, Kucharczyk down in 3rd, 4th place for Daniel Briz, just behind Tuka Tapanen in 4th, then Martin Stenzon down in 6th, Andreasen, Reed, Hagman and Marengi doing a good job as well, climbing 6 places. Francesco Marengi, the Italian, up to 10, and Pedro Hilbrand, the Spaniard, is climbing as well, 9 places gained within the field, up to 11, and he's going to try to keep going again with 5/10 of a second behind Francesco Marengi at the moment. Good recovery as well within the midfield of Flavio Olivieri, the 56, climbing 8 places. As for now, Gabriel Gomez is still your leader, but watch out for Oscar Pedersen. Has never been so... And this is Tuka Tapanen, my apologies, going around the inside of Timothus Kucharczyk. So there's your change for 3rd place. Kucharczyk driving the Robert Kubica chassis within the Birla loaning. We couldn't hold it to Tapanen for long, as the young Finnish driver just went for the move and made it stick. Up into 3rd for you, Tuka Tapanen, sorry. Timothus Kucharczyk down in 4th. And now he's going to have the pressure of Daniel Briz in 5th place. So 3 driver battle for 3rd position in this race, as Tuka Tapanen has a lot to lose in the course of pole position, even though he was 3rd in the provisional ranking. He's on his way to equal his best results so far in those races.
So this is going to be an interesting technical challenge now for Norton Andreasen to close up on Martinius Stenzorn and try and move up into 6th position in the closing stages, but he's not going to hang around. Behind Kucharczyk and Briz, that move has been made. Andreasen gets through on Stenzorn, but they come up the top of the hill and drops down the bank on the far side. Kucharczyk just making sure that Briz isn't close enough, but he is. And Daniel Briz slides in to come up into 4th position. So 2 moves in that top 10. Briz up to 4th, Andreasen up to 6th, and we go into the final lap, and Gabriel Gomez, I have to say, has been absolutely fantastic to be able to hold on to this lead and stretch it out now from his Swedish opponent, Oscar Pedersen. Great stuff so far.
Great stuff indeed, and it's not over quite yet for Timothy Kucharczyk and Daniel Brice, the two drivers on your picture. Outside the two right-handers on the way to corner number 8, I'll get it through, on top of the track. On the way down, Daniel Brice doing a good job indeed at keeping the young Polish driver just behind. Timothy Kucharczyk on his way to Spanish F4 in 2022 with the support of Robert Kubica, a name that might sound familiar to many of you for the current Alfa Romeo Racing Formula 1 driver. But now, this young man on your picture, this is Oscar Pedersen, and is going to come close, at least trying to Gabriel Gomez, this young man from Brazil, on his way to secure his first qualifying heat victory this weekend. Glorious performance from Gabriel Gomez for CRG, crossing the line, punching the air with joy. Victory for Gabriel Gomez. He must be fantastically happy.
You don't really get to see that too often in the qualifying heats. Drivers showing their emotion as they cross the line for a race win in a heat. But Gabriel Gomez, a very emotional young man. Let's not forget that last year, we've had an incident on the last lap. As two karts have come together, Kevin Quevedo and Arno Shabdor have had an incident on the slowing down lap. But just think, for Gabriel Gomez, last year he didn't even make the final. He was completely off the pace, had no opportunities really to get himself back into the hunt. And here he is a year later, he's rebuilt himself, and he, in his second weekend, has just taken his first heat win after pole position yesterday. This is a big, big moment for Gabriel Gomez, and he can be absolutely delighted with what he has been able to achieve here. The Brazilian star venturing into Europe for really the first time, other than his trip to Portimao last year. But this has been an exceptional weekend so far for Gabriel Gomez, and a win now is very, very precious to him. And everybody watching back home in Sao Paulo, I'm sure, will be absolutely ecstatic. Gabriel Gomez with the win from Oscar Pedersen, Tuukka Taponen in third from Daniel Brice and Timo Kucharczyk, Norton Andreasen, Martini Stenzorn, Lenny Riet, Caspian Hagman, Pedro Hiltbrand, Francesco Marenghi, Nicolas Pirtolatti and Joel Bergström from Ariel Elkin and Matteo De Palo.
And we have Roman Andriello, Erolino Randini, Flavio Olivieri, Maximilian Obst, Emily Cavisto, Robin Saag, Bruno Del Pino, Jokubas Begnonavicius, Julian Olsem, Sandro Olsem, Luca Griggs, 26, and last on the line, Nathan Schaap, Carmen Krav, Arthur Chabar, and Kevin Aron Quevedo are among the drivers who had to retire from this race. But what a win this is indeed. The first one of the weekend for Gabriel Gomez, maybe the first of a couple to come in front of Oscar Pedersen and Tuukka Taponen.